Hey, this is Todd from Copyflight. I'm going to do another about page teardown, and this one is for the Ryan Irving web agency out of the UK. And that's actually one of the first things I want to talk to you about. Ryan, is it looks like you're called RI Web, which I guess stands for Ryan Irving, but I noticed above in the um, the browser it says Henley Web Company. So I don't know if there's been a name change or something like that, but that just left me a little bit confused about the name of the company. Based on your homepage, it looks like you do websites for recruitment. Not exactly sure what that means. It seems to be more of a UK thing. So I apologize for not knowing really much about what that means. Um, so anyway, looking at your about page, one of the first things I usually look for is what your headline says, and I think it's good practice for your headline to have a unique value proposition or say kind of what you're doing. And this is I think it's a little bit comes up a little bit short on that. You talk about exceeding expectations that drive you, and I'm not sure. Um, exactly what that means. There's usually four questions I refer to whenever I talk about a unique value proposition. One is, who am I? Who are we? The second one is, who do we help? Uh, and then what do we do? And then the last one is, how are we different? Those four, if you can answer those four questions, you can put together usually a little bit more complete value proposition. So I do recommend that a company use a value proposition for the headline on every page, actually. And I think that would be beneficial here. If I landed on your about page and didn't know anything about you, I see that you exceed expectations, and or that's what drives you. And you have a team of digital strategists, excuse me, designers and developers. But I'm not sure, if you're a web company or a digital marketing company or a recruitment company, whatever. So that my mantra for that section in your of every page, the top area we refer to as the hero shot area, my mantra is to be clear, not clever. So this reads like a continuation, maybe from the homepage, and it's certainly understandable. Um, I think that it's best to start with the value prop and um, what it is you do, and just in case someone lands on that page, and it's likely they come from another page to learn more about you. Um, so anyway, that's my assessment for the top part. I like this section where you have basically bios for each of your team members. Really kind of a fancy picture there, two different views, and you have a little bit of a bio there, and I think that's fun. I think it's really a good strategy. This is something that I really like, and I like that you have it there. And it's something I don't see a lot of people do with their about pages, have bios on someone, on the team members, and I think it's a great thing to have. It can either be on the page, or they could be additional pages that's linked to on the page. I like your values section. I think that's something um, that every about page should have some sense of, these are our values. This is why we do what we do. So I think you hit that really well. Um, so what I would like to see um, on your site first is what pain you solve, and this goes back to the home page. But again, you got to keep in mind. I think when you do an about page, this is the one page where you can actually talk about yourself on your site, and it's acceptable. Um, I have an arbitrary number. I think about a third of your page should be about yourself, and two-thirds about the customer. And so, if you're doing recruitment and there's some kind of pain point that you solve, I would really rather see that at the top, and you can, you know, really grab their attention right off the bat. You know, we are a company that handles websites for recruitment companies, and even a story about why. You know, maybe this something that happened that caused you to look for um, help in recruitment companies. I do think a story is a good thing to have. It doesn't always have to be on the about page, but I really think a little bit of a story about how you got started helping these particular people, and it usually stems from a story of some kind. Um, so that's something I would consider. I'm always looking on the about page to see if can I see my a future better self. So as a customer, if I'm looking at this, you know, why do I want this team to help me? Is there something that you're going to do? This is addressing those pain points and showing the benefits of your service. Is there some reason? I think this is generally when you do that, it's a hook that the person who's reading your page is exactly who you're writing it for. This is who you are trying to deliver a product or a service for. And so I think if you can tell a little bit about a story about why you are helping people in the recruitment industry, a pain point you were seeking to solve, and basically showing what it would be like in the future um, if they use you for a recruitment website. Those are things that I like to see. Um, Another thing that I think is missing on this page is some sense of social proof. Um, you do have, and I would imagine this is probably a footer thing that's on every page, so that's good. I would think a good testimony or two from a recruitment company, maybe after the our values section, a couple really good testimonies from people who have used your services would be very helpful at this point. Uh, Also, another thing I usually tell people is you have a call to action, and you do. It's at the bottom. Is to discover more, I guess, about your web design pages. What I would also consider doing is there's a couple things I would, your best offer, which is probably your web design services. So that's what you have here with the discover button, but also maybe something to get people on an email list. You can do that from your about page too. In fact, if you execute a good about page, you've come across somewhat likable and persuasive. So why not ask to be on your email list? And if you have a good lead magnet or some kind of assessment tool or whatever, it'd be a good place to link to that to get people on your email list. So I think I usually look for two call to actions. One to your best service or your most popular service, and then one to get someone on the about page. That's something I would recommend that you find. So I would recommend addressing the pain point, um, showing your target audience what a future working with you would look like, even if it's just a couple sentences. Um, Adding some social proof in the form of testimonials on this particular page. Uh, if you have a story about how you got into helping recruitment, um, what we usually like to say is, what is it about the industry that pisses you off? What is it that kind of lights a fire under you? And if you can tell that story, that would be something that would resonate with your audience. And then the last thing that I would say is a separate call to action to get people on your email list. So those things would, I think, make it a little bit better of an about page. All in all, obviously the design is fantastic. You guys are really good designers. And I think, again, I do like the bio section. I just might move that to the bottom personally, and even under either right above the values, but I would add more stuff about who you're targeting, the pain points, and some of those things I talked about. I would probably put those a little bit higher up, and have the bios after that information. And again, I think the value section is excellent that you have something that you let people see these are core values that your company uses to operate. So this is my assessment, my tear down for your page, Ryan. If you have any questions about that, or if you just think, maybe I'm missing the boat, whatever, just feel free to ping me on Twitter, or drop me an email. But I hope it's helpful, and talk to you soon.